What the are you doing here, little buddy? Have a rest. Just relax. Take a load off your feet.
Welcome to Antimatters. Hello everyone. Up today we have my new Harpegnathos venator colony and Polyrhachis colony as well. First though, the Antantics rant last episode. Everything I was whinging about has basically been fixed, which is excellent news I think. As a massive fan of the pop-off, I don't want to see anything bad happen to it, and it's nice that they listened. They did respond to my feedback. The tube rack is now removable. Anyway, let's get into the ants. First up, we have my new Harpegnathos venator colony. I got these from Antantics and they came with about 20 workers it is. They had 2 cocoons, one of which got damaged in transit and didn't work, but the other one enclosed fine, and they had a big larvae too, which quickly enclosed after a little bit into a healthy little worker, but they were left with loads of eggs. Thankfully, the eggs have begun to hatch in the last couple weeks. All of these little pupae are, no more than about 10 days old, and they're so huge already. They've been gorging on crickets. One of the things that's special about the harps is the larvae are just really weird. I like to call them Kevins, but they look like maggots and they can walk as well and move themselves around. So why did I get another colony of harps? I've had loads of colonies in the past, but you just can't beat harps. Look at those jaws, they're something else. They're such weird little ants. Anyway, this colony seems to be doing absolutely brilliantly. I'm not sure if I got a queen or a gamma gate because I can't really tell, but they're doing well good. Around the colony though, you may see a few little mites. Up in the corner where the hydration chamber is, there's definitely a little hangout, but I'm not too worried about these. The red mites are special. I do believe they are predatory mites. They're called Hypoaspis miles, and a few years ago I got some and released them into my natural setup. Ever since, they've been wandering around all of the ant setups and things, and what they do is they'll just munch down on any of the mites when the populations get too high, and they just bring it all back down. Despite being little predators themselves, they're no harm to the ants. As you can see from my favourite view into the nest, which is the entry hole, the girls themselves are absolutely mite free and they look perfect to me. In the past I've had some major issues with mites and these girls, but this time, taking everything that I've learned from the past, I think so far, touch wood, everything is looking really good. Look at the texture of their exoskeleton and stuff. They look so ancient to me almost. I guess they are kind of an old species. They're called primitive jumping ants, and my favourite thing about these girls has got to be though that they stare at you. When you're doing stuff, they watch you with their intelligent little gaze sometimes, and it's kind of weird. So my colony, you can feed Harpegnathos venator colonies live food, and a lot of people will even say that you gotta feed them live food. However, what I've been doing recently, due to me freezing all the crickets and only taking about 20 live ones and putting them aside and using them all up, is I've been sticking in frozen ones. In the past, I've always used kind of pre-killed insects at one time or another with my harps, and I've always found that they'll take it 100% of the time. The only time that they don't actually fully like it is if you chop it up too much. They don't like it when the guts are out. What they like to do is take back as whole a carcass as they can and just let the young chomp away at it. They do all of the hard work of munching through the exoskeleton and things like that. These crickets should be fresh as well, because I got 1,000 crickets and instantly just stuck the whole bag into the freezer, where they all kind of passed away quickly and hopefully have been preserved since that moment. Food wise with these girls, when they just had eggs, I was feeding them about 3 crickets maybe a day, 2 or 3 crickets a day I'd say. And now that they've got all of these pupae, I've upped it to about 4 or 5 crickets a day. That's hence why my 20 crickets originally did not last very long. I think the most sustainable method of feeding I've found so far is when I put in 1 live cricket, which kind of attracts their attention, and then 4 dead crickets, and the workers, of course, they were attracted to the living, kind of moving cricket because that seems to tick all the boxes. They like that, and they chase after that, end up outside of the nest, where they then find the dead crickets as well and take them in while they were hunting for the live cricket. Don't get me wrong though, I ain't going to call anyone cruel if they just use live crickets, because their hunting is amazing, and these girls, unlike most ants, they are designed and fully kind of engineered to do this sort of hunting where they'll jump and grab hold of a prey item and then kind of sting it up, paralyze it, take it back to the nest. They like to paralyze it because then it doesn't die and it doesn't go off. It's almost a little bit cruel, but yeah, things are going great inside of this setup at the minute, and hopefully they continue that way. As soon as we get cocoons, I'll make an update. Over to the majestic Polyrhachis Dives colony. These girls came from AntCon and started with about at least 15 queens and I'd say 150 workers. If you've watched my channel for a while, you'll know I absolutely love Polyrhachis, and out of all of the genuses, they're my favourite, I think. Polyrhachis illudata as well is my absolute dream ant, like top of the list. These girls came in 3 tubes originally, and I moved them into a modified Saturn with one of my DIY nests and a load of wood fibre inside of the DIY nest. The Polyrhachis quickly pulled all of the wood chip out of the DIY nest though, and started weaving little chambers all around the place against the wall. It might not be what I wanted them to do, but I'm pretty happy with the result, to be honest. I love being able to see inside of the chambers because it's not something that really lasts with these species a lot of the time. They'll quickly weave a wall up so much that you just can't see through it anymore, but while you can, it's always good to, I don't know, really enjoy it. You can't really see inside of the test tubes anymore because they've been fully woven up, but from what I can tell, there's quite a lot of cocoons in there today. It might be because they got a bit cold while I was filming and moved all of the brood, I think, back to the tubes, but they're pretty packed out inside. Here's a lovely little worker that's guarding the entrance. She's probably doing a good job. I have no idea. To anyone out there that's on the fence about Polyrhachis dives, I'd 100% get some, as long as you can keep up with their kind of high food intake. The Harps diet of about 5 crickets a day might seem a lot to some people. However, when you compare it to the Polyrhachis colony, it's not too bad at all. These girls will quite happily eat between 10 to 20 small crickets a day now, and, well, I've been throwing them in there. They don't seem to have any issues with the frozen insects either, even when they're cold. As an ant, I'd be like, no, I don't want to go on the cold thing, it'll make me cold and all slow, but these girls don't care. They really are huge fans of the small crickets as well. It allows them to pick up the whole carcass and then they can take it all back to the nest, and then they'll break it down in there into tiny little bits. What happens then is they take it back out, all of the bits that they don't want to eat, and they stick it directly in a trash pile. Whereas if you use really big crickets, they can't actually move them anywhere, and they might eat them, but sometimes it'll just get stuck to the floor where it is. They can't move it anywhere, and you have to go in and physically crack it off the floor. These smaller crickets though, they make cleaning really easy. Not to mention the size too lets them easily fit up the Hoover nozzle. Along with their heaps of crickets, I also just chuck in a bit of sugar water every time I'm in there. They don't have the most crazy sugar response, but they enjoy it nevertheless, and it always disappears by the next day. So let's have a look at their wood chip wonder. All of the wood chip in the nest was originally inside of the DIY nest, but they've pulled it out and started to make their own giant chambers now. They're really impressive and growing so fast now. Every day I look in and they've kind of added a little bit on. This large chamber at the bottom here is their main brood chamber when they're in the incubator. It just so happens to be where the heat wire is as well. I love how sandstone red their brood becomes as well when the silk dries. All throughout the nest there's little pockets as well of eggs and larvae that are being looked after by their sisters. With no shortage of queens, I think this colony is going to boom. And I'm really hoping that eventually they'll move into their DIY setup. Originally it was going to be a circular sandwich nest with soil in it, but I thought, well, if I give it to the dives, they might move inside of the large cylinder, which is the nest, and then you can shine light down the middle and you'll get an amazing view. But so far, it hasn't fully gone to plan. Just imagine if it did go to plan though and they moved into this. I think we'd get a lovely view inside. Anyway, that's about all for today. I'll make some updates on these girls when they do some stuff. I hope you enjoyed today's video and thanks for watching. Until next time, have a fabulous week. May your ants live long and prosper, and bye!